every couple months. It's an opportunity for you to join us to talk to the doctors. Dr. Elmer's here actually with us tonight.
Thanks for being here tonight.
So just a few housekeeping messages to get out of the way. If you have any issues where you either can't see us or hear us, we do have an IT tech standing by, and if you message on the side and tell them you're having difficulties, they can rectify that. We also have another technician standing by who can answer questions. If we don't answer your questions in the chat box, we try to get to as many as possible, but the idea is we can't answer everything. It's only a half an hour long. If you do click on a link that you'll see come up in a little bit, that link allows you to enjoy a $50 off per eye if you come through that means, just like if you came to a regular open house. If you have questions, it's info@fichte.com, which we'll repeat over and over. There is another open house where we have actually in the building. Next one coming up is March 24th. Next open house is March 24th. And for financing, we offer care credit. Now, I don't see any questions so far, so I'm going to start with the usual questions for the doc. Tell us a little bit about what's new in, say, laser surgery for all laser LASIK, which a lot of people want to know about.
Well, actually, I have that machine right behind us. It's kind of cool. One of the big things is new is this machine actually has the ability to do LASIK and cataract surgery both. And then these same machines that we're using for LASIK now we can use for cataract surgery. But really tonight we're talking mostly about LASIK surgery. So the big thing is, you know, we pride ourselves in having the best of the best. So we've had our interlace machine for, gosh, 8 years or now or something like that.
So we've been doing laser.
When that first came out, we had this, you know, our advertising was LASIK for chicken, so no more bladed LASIK. So it's basically computers and lasers doing the work. And Kevin and I always admit we're doing our surgery with our arms crossed now.
Virtual procedure before actual.
Yeah, we actually do it, and it's kind of a team approach now. It's not just the surgeon. Literally, Kevin's with me on virtually every case now. So we do the surgery. Take a picture of the eye, goes on the computer screen, and we do all the calculations before what we want. But then once we have the picture of your eye on the computer screen, we can adjust the depth, the angle, the size, the diameter of the flap, and we have actually 2 machines to do that. So one for each room for convenience, or God forbid something's not working one day, we can flip you over. We have 2 machines. You can imagine if we have 25 people scheduled for one day and it doesn't work, and we have to reschedule everybody. So now we have 2. We have great backups. It's great.
When he says it doesn't work, it does. It's not that it's like flying an airplane and it has to calibrate every day. You know, you get in there, you crank up the engines before you fly off to Rio or wherever you're going. And my responsibility at 4:30 in the morning is to make sure that they're running properly. If for any reason this technology says, well, we're not going to fly today, we have 4 airplanes. So we actually can use other technology. 2 that make the flap with femto, 2 that actually change the prescription. We decide on which one is appropriate for you based on mapping that we do as part of the evaluation. I'm not seeing a lot of questions so far, so I'm going to jump in with another question.
There's a lot.
Tell us, these are just people saying hi.
Oh, okay.
No worries. Tell us about the evaluation process, a little bit about what happens when you come in for the eval.
So the evaluation is basically our opportunity to get to know you, look at your eyes, your prescription, and to see what of these 4 lasers is going to be the best for you, what technology we have. You know, it used to be when Kevin first opened this practice, it was 1 machine, 1 surgeon, Dr. Fichte, and you were a good candidate for LASIK. If not, thanks for coming. Now, just about everybody that walks through the door, we can help. And we're trying to look at what your needs are with your eyes, what we're trying to do with them. And our job is to figure out all these technologies that we have today, so many more, which is the best for you, which laser we're going to use, how we're going to go about it. Is it safe? Probably beyond anything. Is it safe?
Not to interrupt, but talk about astigmatism, because there's a question right now about astigmatism. So during the event, we check for that. What is it? What do we do about it?
Okay, so first thing, what is astigmatism? A lot of people think it's this terrible word. Pretty much everybody has astigmatism. Astigmatism simply means that the eye is not perfectly oval or round. It's more of an oval shape or an irregular shape. So if your eye is misshapen, what we can do is we can use lasers to correct that. And in the past, basically, we would use lasers to try to hold it, but more and more, we are more accurately able to measure it. So we use computers actually to measure how much irregularities you have, and then we can use lasers to fix it.
I've just gotten a note just for our IT end. On that end, Aaron tells me that some folks are having some issues seeing the screen. hopefully you're having the audio portion of this. And if you're having problems with the actual picture, she'll work on it. Sometimes it's a blessing not to be able to see the two of us. So if you can hear us, that's a little bit helpful.
It's a little weighted out, but
yeah, our screen, we can see that, and hopefully we're getting out there. But just so the people on our ITN know that some people are reporting some issues. And I'll tell you one thing is that I found with my computer that I log in on Chrome versus Internet Explorer makes all the world of difference. So if you're using Internet Explorer, sometimes that's the issue. So Chrome being a better browser, sometimes that helps. But getting back to
the big thing about astigmatism I wanted to add is,
sure.
you know, what's happened is as these technologies evolve, we have ways to measure it first. So you need a computer that can measure astigmatism, and then once that's done, we have a laser that can correct it. So basically the computer measures it and says, okay, you have this astigmatism, and what does the laser need to do to fix it? And then the other thing is we have now trackers available. When we first started, literally we would hold your head still, and I would hold your head with my hands, and if your eye was moving, I'd sort of push you back in the right direction. There was a little light that you would look at. But nowadays there's iris recognition software, so it would recognize you. It's got to be your right eye, and it knows exactly the position of your eye when it was recorded. So if you lay back and your eye rotates slightly one way or the other, it will compensate for any rotation. They'll literally tell us the eye's rotated 4 degrees or whatever it may be. They'll compensate for that. And then once that happens, it locks on, and it will rotate with the eye, they say, 1,000 to 2,000 times per second. It'll measure your eye. I don't know how that's possible. The engineers tell me that, but it's super, super precise, and it will move with you. You don't have to worry about if you were to move during surgery. It's totally safe. If you move too far outside of the range, it'll just stop. We move you back in, picks up right where we left off.
Talk about thickness. I see a question on the chat box about, they said their eye doctor said something about measuring their corneal thickness to make sure they're safe. We do this all the time. And
yes,
that's part
of course.
Of the process.
Yes.
So talk about that.
And so it's a very important measurement. We look at the actual thickness, because what the laser does is it actually sort of molds the surface of the eye. By so doing, it changes the thickness. So you have to have a certain amount of thickness in place to allow us to do laser. It's part of the test where I was just saying for the evaluation that Kevin was talking about, to make sure that you're thick enough. And we can actually do the math prior to you ever coming in, so we know whether or not you're going to have enough room to do the surgery, the thickness is adequate to do it. And we always leave a little bit of a buffer. And to be honest, that's one thing Kevin knows, I always check myself. So we have all these measurements and computers, I review them and all, but right before surgery, I always check the thickness myself to make sure that there's enough. We do the math, say, okay, we're safe to go, and Kevin always says, and that means we're safe to proceed, and away we go. So very important measurement. Absolutely.
The thing about that is, years ago when we did this, we had some issues with thickness in respect to the way a flap was made on the cornea, because surgery can be done with a flap on the cornea, or it can be done right on the surface of the cornea. When you make a flap, it's predictability of the thickness. So the newer laser, like the one behind us, is much more accurate. The flap thickness can be calculated down to 1 or 2 microns, which is very small increments. The previous technology, when you did it manually, maybe 30 to 40 microns. And that's the difference between being able to have it done or not having it done at all, or having to have it done on the surface. So talk a little bit about flaps and surface so people know a little bit more what I was just saying.
All right, so what we're talking about is, if let's say your corneas are thin, in the past, sometimes we couldn't do LASIK because bladed LASIK is not as a precise surgery as when we use a laser to make a flap. But now, since we have a laser to make a flap, these femtosecond lasers, as we said, we have 2 of them, it'll actually measure to the micron, very, very precise, exactly how thick that flap is going to be. And we can change it. I can tell Kevin, make it a little bit thicker, make it a little less thick, so we know exactly how much there's going to be. Now, if you don't even have enough room for a flap, there's a way to do the surgery, what's called advanced surface ablation, where you actually just polish the surface of the eye with a Q-tip. It's a very, very good way to do surgery. No flap is created. There's no cutting involved at all. We laser the surface of the eye, and then we put a contact in the eye that just acts like a Band-Aid. We call it a bandage contact lens. And once that's healed over, we take the contact out, which usually it's about a week. We leave it in there, and then you can see. So it's a very good way to do a surgery. The only difference is a little bit longer recovery, and that's why.
Talk about the preparation needed prior to surgery. I mean, what do people have to do before they even come in for their evaluation? What's expected of them? You know, what do they have to do to get ready for this procedure?
Well, I mean, before the evaluation, the big thing is, just making sure you come in. We're going to do the thorough evaluation. We ask you not to wear contacts for at least a week or so, and the reason for that is the contact can actually mold the eye and can alter our measurements that we do. But other than that, you just come in and we just do the full evaluation. Once we've decided we're going to do surgery, there are some drops that we have used before. We actually have used an antibiotic before hand just to prepare the eye to get rid of any bacteria and things like that. But that's just standard stuff, and that's all written down, so you'll know exactly. It's not some mystery. We meet with you before or after surgery, so we have sheets already pre-done because, of course, we have thousands of patients. So it's very, it's a very systematic approach, and we, just have it. It's all sort of worked out for you.
And then when you come in the day of your procedure, you need a driver because somebody has to drive you home. We ask you to dress warm because we keep it about 68 degrees in here for reasons of keeping the temperature the same all year long. And you're in and out of here in about 15 minutes. You come in, the first laser to make the flap, if you're having that procedure, takes a couple minutes, actually about 20 seconds per eye, more time in getting you comfortable and prepared than actually doing the procedure. Second laser off to our side over there that actually creates a change in your prescription. Usually about a minute also per eye, and we wait a few minutes in between to make sure that the flap is all settled down. So dress warm in a driver, drops ahead of time. You be here about a half an hour before your procedure to sign your consent form. So day of procedure is pretty laid back. Talk a little bit about what do you do if they're very nervous? I mean, do you have anything available if they're nervous, and what do you do about it?
His name's Kevin O'Brien. He's sitting to the right of me. He's a very good stand-up comedian. Sometimes he doesn't sit down.
I got a message for 1 second.
Yeah.
It says our IT guy says we're going to stop talking for about 10 seconds. They're just restarting the session because, again, some people are still having a hard time seeing. So I'm letting them take over for a second. So usually you put up a message to say,